Just a couple minutes past the hour, so we'll go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome everybody to this webinar, this SBK webinar. We're excited to have you join us today as we dive into what we believe is a pretty critical engineering topic, and that's trying to build products faster with Windchill and Creo. As a quick reminder, all attendees that are joining this webinar are going to be put on mute. But if you do have questions during the presentation or even at the end, feel free to put them in the chat or Q&A section of this Zoom interface, this Zoom webinar. Our team is monitoring those areas and will assist us in getting you answers, and we'll either try to answer them during the presentation or at the end. Also, this webinar is recorded, and you'll receive a recording of this webinar in the next few days following our conclusion here today, so that you can either rewatch or share with your colleagues as necessary. So, thanks again. Thanks for being here today and for joining us on a Thursday, wherever you may be from. If possible, I'd love to see the reach and the global nature of our community here. If you can put where you're from in the chat and say hello, that would be awesome. We do have some of our team members that are monitoring and can see where globally the reach is for today's webinar. And this webinar really was created because many teams today are battling really disconnected systems, file chaos, as we've seen in some instances, and process inefficiencies. And these delays really add up, not just in time, but in cost and frustration and missed opportunity. So today, our aim is to share how, with a few modifications, engineering teams can speed up their innovation and get the most out of the powerful tools that they may already have. And it's not just me talking about this topic today. I have my wonderful partner in crime, Edwin Chung. Yes, you. Yes, you. Ed, feel free to introduce yourself to the audience here.
Hi, my name is Edwin. I go by Ed Chung. I'm the VP of Professional Services here at SBK and Associates. I've been doing this for almost 2 decades here at SBK because I love that I get to work with dozens or hundreds of customers, making R&D teams more productive and, in my opinion, more importantly, I make them more happy, right? Because we're being productive and being efficient and doing these fun, creative things is really satisfying to them, and that is really satisfying that I get to support them.
And Ed is very his happiness meter directly goes up when engineering teams are happy and they tell Ed that they're happy with things. So he's not lying when he says that. My name is Michael Roberts. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for SBK and Associates. I do have a technical background, but not at all as technical as Ed. So we're going to really dive into this topic, and we're going to pick Ed's brain on a bunch of these different areas with regards to Windchill and Creo. So today's kind of discussion around Windchill and Creo, we want to first talk about some of the modern engineering challenges and some of the real things that we see with customers today, and try to compartmentalize them and categorize them on how those can be solved. We'll talk a little bit about managing and automating Creo data in Windchill, improving that design process and reuse, and then enhancing security and access controls based upon some new key features in Windchill's capability. And then we also lastly want to talk about connecting engineering to the enterprise, because that's another big efficiency gain that can be had by looking at this as a whole solution, not just as something that engineering has that nobody else really looks at. And then finally, we will have a question and answer session at the end of today's webinar. So if you do have questions, we can try to answer them during the presentation, or at the end, there will be a designated section for that. So before we get into the specifics around Creo and Windchill, Ed, I believe you wanted to share some ideas around approaches to address some of those modern challenges that engineering teams see. Can you share a little bit more about what those approaches are?
Yeah, absolutely, Michael. Imagine a world where your teams turn complexity into a competitive advantage, right? Orchestrating, collaborating in this agile environment, powered by data, unleashed with AI that searches across all the different platforms in your intelligent product lifecycle. That sounds great and has lots of fancy words in it, but the reality is when we work with clients, when you look at what you're doing right now, a lot of times you're far from this outcome and stuck somewhere partly on the road or somewhere in the middle of that complexity. So a lot of our services generally tend to focus on simplifying that complexity. We try and focus on integrated definition, design, and planning, the three sections here. In some cases, we try and use AI to help that. Other times, it's just being able to have engineers and other team members use the engineering data most efficiently. Uh, Sometimes even manually can make a huge impact. So generally where we focus to get value out of the data being used in engineering is in these areas, right? Maybe I'll start with what I call the foundation. The foundation is these open standards and this change management. We need our foundation to be flexible enough to handle different engineers, right? Speaking different languages, doing electrical engineering and mechanical engineering. But we also need to not give everyone perfect, complete freedom where they're making changes without informing everyone else in our company across multiple continents and time zones, and people are asleep in manufacturing sites in a different location. We need the change management also. The way we break that down, we talked about define, design, and planning. On the left side for defining, right? This is where we encourage engineers to be creative. We want people to design their products to meet the business goals, define requirements, to engineer the system, and ultimately make our product. On the right side, when I talk about planning, this is part of the change management side, right? We need to define configuration management and BOM management. We want to use MBD, model-based definition, so that later on in the future, as our company becomes larger and we want to scale, right, we'll be able to handle that. And when we talk about software on the right side, this isn't about designing software. This is about using software tools inside of our workflow, our design workflow, so that all of this becomes connected and led and guided simultaneously across all the different systems so that all the engineers can work their best, produce their most, be creative and wonderful and do these awesome things that they can do and not worry about, oops, are we looking at the same file, right? As Michael was showing in one of his first early files, that example of, we've all been there with the part
Final.
underscore rev b underscore v6 underscore eds version. No more.
And it's only funny because it's true. I think everybody in technology has done that at some point. They have, final or final last draft. So it's a real thing. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's exactly it, right? We've all been there, and yes. So that complexity is tough to break down, right? Especially a lot of our customers and maybe some of you out there. I'd be interested in knowing, by the way, how many of you in chat are out there working with compliance required industries, right? Medical devices, automotive, aerospace. Super complex with compliance, but even without that, you've got the disconnected tools, right? On these complex products, you've got the mechanical engineers on this side who are not at all using the same tools as the software engineers correctly, right? They're not using the same tools. And, God forbid, you've got some supplier out there who's doing their own thing and they send you something and you've got to integrate it. Super complex. And in order to use, we talked about the complexity as an advantage, right? If you can get all of these people to work in parallel work streams, the mechanical, electrical, electronic systems, software engineering, right? And outsourcers or suppliers. If you get them all in parallel, you can and integrate them. You can cut those inefficiency and reduce your time to market. The lack of control and disconnected tools result in a slow time to market. It can really cause poor product quality or quality issues and stuff, right? And regulatory compliance. We talked about regulatory compliance earlier. When regulatory compliance problems arise, there's a limited process improvement and poor decision making. Addressing all of these issues is essential to improve your overall product quality and efficiency and engineer happiness. Here's a list that I put together, right, from the past this year's engagements where these things should we read through it? I'll read through some, right? No common requirements, right? Poor alignment of the design team, communication issues, right? Communication issues are always a big problem, and I encourage people to not be relying on delivering USB drives from me to Michael as a communication method. And if that sounds crazy, if you are relying on, hey, Ed, print this PDF out, save it on your desktop, attach it to an email, and email it to Michael, that's really the same thing as, hey, I'm gonna take this printed on paper and walk it over to his desk. We talk about incomplete tasks and changes, disconnected data silos. I talked about that already. Regulatory compliance problems, poor decision making, right? Whenever we're working in different silos, it can be difficult to make the best decisions, not just for our business, but for our individual product pieces of the assembly. So to solve these challenges, we've seen a few key important components and approaches. These approaches are to focus on the data foundation, collaboration, and orchestration. First, the data foundation is Windchill PLM, right? We want one source of truth for parts, CAD files, BOMs, change history. Then, with Creo integrated into Windchill, every model and drawing becomes versioned and numbered and related to the right WT part. So we don't have the Rev B V7 final ed version files. We just have one tree. And if others haven't seen it before, it's amazing. It's amazing having a single WT part and having it show the branching of different design ideas. Ed's design idea, Michael's design idea, right? Put them all side by side with that 3D preview. And now my managers, my executives, my product team, right, who are working with the customers, it's great. It really is. That reliable data in this one source of truth unlocks collaboration. The mechanical engineers, this is the middle part, right? The mechanical engineers, the electrical engineers, the suppliers, they're all guaranteed reviewing the same current design and files so that everyone, whether they have CAD or not, or they're external to our company, I know they're all looking at the same thing. And then lastly, or maybe firstly, on top, the orchestration. Orchestration runs the work. These are ECR or ECO workflows, ECN workflows, whatever that acronym is at your company, approvals, effectivity, and impact analysis, right? We have all these things I talked earlier about keeping everyone in sync. So the conductor of the orchestra, right, ensures that everyone is moving forward at the right time, at the same time. So together, this stack kills rework and shortens change cycles, right? And it gives us confidence, my product team, me as a manager also, right? It gives us all confidence that we are on the same page because, I don't know, that's a point of frustration for me. But it's not because we use Windchill, we're all on the same page. Now it's not frustrating. Being able to focus and improve on these three components or areas is definitely done at different levels. With those same examples from the previous slide, you'll note that data foundations is at the bottom because it is the foundation, and I just put foundations at the bottom. Note that, but digital product traceability is the first part of that maturity evaluation. People have to trust that the data they are seeing is accurate. So we first try to focus on ensuring the data is accurate in any or every system we work with. While the other areas are important, right, they also add to that complexity. We talked earlier about there's a lot of complexity, right? But that complexity only exaggerates the data problem if it's not handled properly. So people often ask, where do I start, right? Centralize your data management and version control because that's the heart of being able to mature in your product engineering approach.
And it sounds really simple. I even referenced this in another webinar with Daniela Alcantar from our team about being able to trust the data. And sometimes, the different revisions cause so much chaos to begin with, and you can alleviate a lot of that just by centralizing that data. So that's a really good kind of foundation of the engineering problems that we do see in this general area. So thanks for sharing that context. I want to kind of twist this a little bit and talk a little bit more about managing CAD data in Windchill, high level, what that looks like. And even if you're using it as a kind of a starter PDM today, if you will, and you're not really using all the other components, and maybe expanding all the other components and features. You mentioned change management and BOM management. So let's talk a little bit about the CAD data inside of Windchill a little bit, Ed.
That sounds great, Michael. Yeah, so you could think of Windchill and Creo as one system, right? The engineers, the mechanical engineers are designing in Creo and saving directly, quote unquote, to Windchill so that every file is versioned, numbered, and related to the right part. From the workspace, you can see who has the model checked out, the lifecycle state, for example, in work, under review, released, and whether downstream teams or suppliers can use that file. As designs evolve, Windchill creates iterations for every save and revisions for formal releases, which can be numbers or letters as we configure it, so we get traceability without clutter. We use commands like promotion or set state so that we can move them through a workflow with governed or required or optional approvals, approve as C3 visualizations inside of Creo View, which is built into Windchill as a plugin or add-on. So it's in their browser. They don't have to install anything. So they can review it without having a CAD license or having to install that software. We can check where used and used by fields to understand BOM impact before we change anything. Which is super important. Just earlier this year, there was I won't get too much detail, but the electrical engineer made a change in component and didn't realize this part was used on three different things. And then they go to assemble it and oops, the heatsink doesn't fit anymore. Great. Could have been solved. And now it's solved for them. Understand the BOM impacts for everything. Title block and parameters are driven from Windchill, eliminating the need for manual retyping and mismatches across different product lines or different products. And then on release, built into Windchill, right? There's a whole system of task management, publish rules, which can do things like auto-generate PDF files and step files, right? So that I'm working in Creo, but a step file gets auto-generated to be sent to the supplier. It can notify subscribers or managers or engineers or teammates or external people so that everyone always has the right version, the right file type and right version of that file type for their use. Access control is super important, right? Access control keeps the pre-release or private or prototype files private, while projects let suppliers collaborate safely because sometimes I want feedback from them. The net of all of this is fewer where's the latest file moments, fewer which file are you on moments, faster reviews, and a clean digital thread from CAD to parts to documents to change to product releases. So as we get into this discussion, right, let's talk about PDM link. Great. All right, there are two key applications that we need to understand. The first is Windchill PDM link. This is the piece that connects Windchill to PDM, product data management, right? It's a required component for managing or storing all of my BOMs, changes, configurations, automated workflows, et cetera, so that I have enabled my server to store a single governed source of truth. I can access it via web browser, right? So that you don't just need whatever. You can access it via web browser, which is very convenient and expected and like a bare minimum nowadays. And to connect into PDM link with Creo, it's actually built in. Creo comes with a built-in integration to Windchill PDM link. I said that this works for everything because there's a separate program, Windchill Workgroup Manager, often referred to as WGM, right? That's a client-side companion that will plug into other CAD tools like SolidWorks and AutoCAD or Visual Studio or Cadence or CAD from and then allow engineers in those other tools to also check in and out, manage versions, see lifecycle state for those for files from those programs. Workgroup Manager also exposes certain Windchill tasks such as searching and product structures and change actions and BOM relations, right? I just talked earlier about that problem that they solved using Workgroup Manager. So all the design work stays in sync with the PLM, with Windchill PLM, and the orchestra can stay in time, in tempo. Because Workgroup Manager supports multiple CAD systems, mixed tool organizations still operate on one backbone, that Windchill PLM. So use Windchill PDM link so that you can store all your data and control it and have traceability, and then use Workgroup Manager to expand it so that users everywhere can access it. What are we talking about now? Let's talk about work engineers, right? What they would do every day and how their data is readily available. Here is the embedded browser inside of Creo that shows the Windchill instance. So if you're an engineer, you can stay in the Creo interface, work as much as you need to, and you can still access Windchill to do your check-in, check-out, saves, etc., without switching to another tool.
Oh, no context switching. That's good. I like no
Mm-hmm.
context switching. That's good.
That's right. Because, talking about me personally, how many times you context switch and you alt tab, and now I have to figure out which of these 7,000 different tabs of my browser I was working in. We're talking about simple part release, right? So let's say you made some changes and check the part back in. Now you're ready to release the part. So in this example, right, we'll assume there's a complicated workflow in place that after the engineer makes the update to the part and checks back in, the first stage of the workflow would be triggered, which can be done again with the Windchill embedded browser, right? So done. Easy for my engineers to do their, I guess I can't speak for every engineer, but I can. They can do their exciting design and engineering work and not do the less exciting paperwork and pencil pushing. Another common question we get for folks that aren't familiar with Windchill is, how can I associate a document with a part? How can I attach a PDF file to a part? How do I version control the PDF files, right? Etc. So Windchill has that ability already built in inside of, this is a CAD part, which is named, what is this name? Like one? Anyway, here's a CAD part, right? And you can tie attachments to it. You can put the PDF, you can put your supplier documents in here. As an aside, also, you can have Windchill, depending on the situation, you have Windchill generate a PDF file. If this was a drawing, Windchill would generate a PDF file. I might have Windchill generate a PDF file automatically and attach it back on this part so that now I have a single place where I have to go and get this part is related to this part, and revision and iteration is related to this PDF file and this authenticity certificate or this inspection certificate, right? Or this assembly plan. All of these things can be in one place. Again, reducing context switching, reducing that situation where you are searching your email, the worst thing, right? I see people, I'm searching my email for the right file from the right person at the right time that's related to this thread. Like, no more. It's
No more.
great. Please use it. Thank you.
Saving time. Like at the end of the day, it's all about saving time. So now we're going to shift to another topic that I think is really important given trying to keep engineers efficient, and that's how they can improve design efficiency by creating a reusable library. So, Ed, can you give us a little bit about how companies can improve engineering teams' output when they're actually using and reusing parts and able to reuse parts?
Absolutely. Reusing validated designs, of course, saves time and ensures consistency. So Windchill makes it easy to search for, find, and reuse existing parts and assemblies, cutting down on redundant design work. Across many manufacturers, most manufacturers, 30 to 40% of parts are duplicates or close substitutes. They could be duplicates, right? When I say close up, they should be duplicates so that they can save money, but maybe they don't yet. Every time we add just one more part, it becomes another $4,000 to $23,000 per year in carrying and maintenance cost. before any tooling or supplier overhead. Meanwhile, just under 50% of engineers spend an hour or more each day hunting or redrawing parts, right? Like looking for the correct thing, or oh my God, it's the worst when I hear an engineer say like, oh, it's faster for me to remake this really simple
Than it is to find the
square,
part.
right? Which is true. It is faster for you, engineer, but it's bad for our business. Please reuse that bolt. Do not get another McMaster part number inside of our system. Please use the one we already have. Tangent. Reuse is the fastest lever to cut design time, right? We've highly encouraged it. It's a great way to show ROI back to whoever's looking at your ROI. Do you reuse, shrink BOM complexity, reduce inventory sprawl. The fix is relatively simple and super powerful. One governed catalog in PLM, strong classification, geometric search using AI, approved standards, vendors, right? Make it so that when I search for M5 bolt, the correct thing comes up. Set up a new part gate that forces a quick search before creation, right? This is process. This is manual process, manual, automated. It's a process, right? Make people search our one system before they make a new part. When we reuse, change impact shrinks, quality stabilizes, and service kits, right? Service kits get simpler. So in short, fewer parts, faster releases, lower cost. Using Windchill with Creo is massively important to reduce these problems and gain time back for your engineers. When multiple engineers are working in parallel, right? Coming back to what we were talking about 20 minutes ago. Working in parallel, Windchill prevents clashes by clearly showing file ownership and status, helping to avoid overwrites and delays and forked designs that you need to manually merge back later. So here's why better collaboration matters. On average, engineers lose 20% of their time to searching and rework, right? That is a full day a week, not spent designing, spent doing stuff that they hate doing, which is the merging back someone else's work. Teams without formal data control end up redoing changes and chasing that latest file from their email, from someone's desktop, which adds 2 hours of avoidable rework every week per engineer. Beyond productivity, the talent impact is real, right? Organizations with a modern PDM and or PLM are 30% more likely to keep their best engineers because the work feels sane and predictable. And, you know, when I talk about happy engineers and sometimes I talk to a company that wants a numeric dollar figure for a happy engineer, this is how I do it. Happy engineers are permanent engineers. They stay, and there's definitely value to that.
Yeah. And I just want to inject this here. This is one of those, I see this a lot when people are evaluating, Windchill, but also other systems too. But they're trying to evaluate the ROI of spending money on a new platform or moving to a new platform or just investing in a platform to begin with. And they don't take these numbers into account. Like this, to me, these are real numbers that you can immediately throw in terms of your ROI to show the outcome that you're ultimately wanting. It's not just, oh, we got to spend X amount of dollars and that'll take X amount of years to recoup. No, this could immediately start saving you time by giving engineers time back to do actual innovation work and not spend time looking for that file on somebody's desktop somewhere.
That's right. Talking about BOM automation, right? Windchill enables automated BOM generation directly from the CAD models and syncs that data to downstream systems like ERP systems. This makes a true digital thread from design all the way to customer product delivery. Over 40% of engineers question their BOM's accuracy, right? That's like half the team asking if they're making a mistake. And, and a lot of times we take pride in our work. So when we ask if there's a mistake, we are spending the time to double check that there's no mistake. Just under half, almost half of manufacturers we surveyed still run BOMs in spreadsheets or not at all, but let's just say spreadsheets or worse, which guarantees version drift, copy and paste errors, no where used, visibility, and more than 20% of them say that their current BOM approach is actively hurting the business's bottom line, which includes things like missed dates, scrap, failures, errors, and painful, really painful ECOs. The fix here is BOM automation and synchronization using Windchill. There. Now you have one governed BOM linked to your CAD tool with automatically publishing different versions of it, right? Engineering BOM versus your mechanical and manufacturing BOMs, all shipping to your ER systems. So manufacturing, purchasing, engineers, they always see the latest, released, same structure. So bottom line, move your BOMs out of spreadsheets or worse, out of paper and email and into PLM so that the system can synchronize it across all the different departments and divisions and continents that you might be working in. That's how you cut errors, shorten ECO cycles, and make your launch dates. Change management, right? Change is inevitable. Delays are not. You do not need, right, to always budget extra time for the change because you expect it's going to be going there. Your metrics, right? If your company is probably measuring a metric of turnaround time and things for your ECOs, hey, Windchill's change control workflows can be initiated from right inside the Creo so that you can ensure traceability, fast implementation of your engineering changes. Today, a major ECO averages 142 days from proposal as an ECR, our acronyms, ECR request, engineering change request, to implementation. That's 4 months of risk scrap, schedule slip. When we integrate change management in PLM, starting from the ECR, it goes from ECR to impact analysis, approvals, and release. Teams typically cut the cycle time by about 70%. Windchill handles the mechanics of it, the conductor, so to speak, where used analysis to see every BOM it touches, effectivity dates, so the right units change at the right time, role-based approvals. We haven't talked about roles. We'll talk about it soon. And automatic notification, right? Automatic notifications, the tasks are there so that every single day I come into work and I see, hey, these are the ECOs that are waiting for my review and approval. Once released, those updates publish straight to the ERP or MES system. No manual rekeying, no printing to a PDF and copying and pasting it and uploading it. That results in fewer errors. You get faster, cleaner changes with less rework and again, on-time launches, right? So if your ECOs are aging out in email or spreadsheets, making adjustments here with Windchill can make major strides to get your product to market more quickly. And those metrics, right, actually show some really, really important data points. And if you can understand those outcomes, you'll see how these 3 recommendations are really foundational to the outcomes engineering teams are looking for. Establishing a single source of truth, right? First, you should centralize all your CAD models, parts, and product data within Windchill PLM link so engineers can always access the latest approved version. Build and maintain standardized libraries of frequently used components that screw in Creo. Again, should be managed through Windchill so that everyone's reusing the same part to reduce duplicate part creation, ensure consistency, and accelerate design cycles. You should leverage configurable templates, right? Use Creo's family tables as an example to create parametric models that support design reuse. This lets teams generate variations of common designs quickly without starting from scratch. Pair this with Windchill classification, searching, right? Makes it easier to find, adapt, and reuse existing designs instead of recreating them. And third, integrate the change and BOM management, right? Tie Creo design work directly into Windchill's change and BOM management processes. This ensures that revisions are tracked automatically, downstream stakeholders see the impact of changes in real time, and designs are reused confidently across projects. This eliminates reworks, prevents errors from using outdated designs, and supports compliance.
I'm hitting keys over here, Ed. I'm hitting keys. All right, you mentioned the role-based access a minute ago, and I think there's some really important value there too, because the more that we've worked with organizations, the more we see not everybody needs certain things, or certain processes are different from company to company, and they want the ability to kind of manipulate around that. So obviously without proper access control, even the most efficient processes can break down. If somebody can click a button when they shouldn't click a button, then that could be problematic. But in the problem overdoing it, sometimes you end up running into being really, really siloed, and that can cause problems too, where people can't get anything done. So there needs to be kind of a happy medium. So can you share a little bit about the role-based access in Windchill and what that may look like?
Absolutely. Windchill's role-based access and lifecycle controls ensure sensitive design data is protected, but also the correct people, the correct stakeholders have access to the data. This supports compliance and IP, intellectual property security. This was a tough challenge in the past, right? A lot of times when we were doing an implementation, a big part of that defining requirements is figuring out who needs what access and buying the correct license for all of that. In 2025, PTC made this easier for all of us by implementing or switching to a newer role-based access model for Windchill. So everyone who touches the product can live in the same PLM system, not just the mechanical engineers. So at the top, you see enterprise users for broad view and collaborate access. On the right, the core user authoring lanes for traditional engineering or manufacturing or quality and service. This means design engineers, manufacturing, and process planners, or quality audit people, right? Service parts teams, suppliers, they all have defined seats. So no more spreadsheet islands or email only approvals because that supplier doesn't have access to our system. Internal users can be set to standard view and acknowledge or enterprise collaboration. Suppliers get supplier collaboration author and shop floor. Shop floor usage is covered through kiosk or register options. And then you layer in add-ons, right? Add-ons such as the Creo view clients and the regulatory hub, the ERP connectors, industry packs, et cetera. So you can layer those on without changing the core persona. So the payoff is that more people are inside the digital thread. We have cleaner change management and bomb flow. We have faster reviews because everyone's in the system and better compliance, right? We have great compliance, and all of this is licensed the way work actually happens across our organization. So no more do we have to like figure it out and make this design manufacturing thing of assembling where we're going to do access. Hey, it's actually all this slide is a little busy, but it's actually all beautifully summarized in just this one spot.
And I love, I'm going to steal your spreadsheet islands comment there. I love spreadsheet islands. That's the worst place you ever want to visit. Nobody wants to be in spreadsheet island. So we looked at role-based access now in Windchill, that talks about, the right level of visibility and security. But access usually alone isn't enough. You got to have some value across not only engineering but other locations in the organization too. So that's where connecting Windchill to other enterprise systems like an ERP or an MES could be critical. By bridging that data gap, the enterprise can actually get a lot better data flow, better alignment between design and production, and ultimately faster and a better, more efficient product. So, Ed, can you share a little bit about how connecting Windchill to other parts of the organization or other systems may actually provide some value?
Yeah, if I can just say really high level here, right? Integrating Windchill with other ERP systems like SAP or NetSuite. This addresses key challenges in our complex manufacturing environment, right? It streamlines the handling of configurable products across the value chain by automatically generating and syncing information between PLM and ERP across different locations and different sites and different manufacturing teams and different time zones. This integration provides simultaneous visibility of product changes, allowing my downstream manufacturing and supply chain processes to run concurrently with engineering, which ultimately, coming back to what we keep talking about, accelerates time to market, improves quality. Furthermore, software can be dynamically configured in PLM and delivered directly to the shop floor, ensuring that the latest version of a firmware or something is available without altering the BOM. Historically, ERP systems manage both resource planning and product data, leading to these data silos and inefficiency, right? Shipping that file by email. So no, by combining Windchill's PLM capabilities with ERP solutions, manufacturers benefit from the seamless, very, very near instant flow of real-time, accurate data, reducing errors, speeding up production, and is great. This integration enables better collaboration across teams, reduces costs, ensures a more efficient, responsive product lifecycle that meets evolving customer demands. So Windchill can push your clean, validated design data directly into your ERP or MES systems, streamlining your handoff to manufacturing and reducing that thing where manufacturing comes back with a broken product and blames it on the design engineer. The design engineer is like, no,
That never happens, Ed. Don't say that. That never
oh, yeah.
happens.
So we've seen this value exceed the time spent, definitely, right, on building the integrations by 500% or more. We're talking about the digital thread, right? The digital thread is the backbone of modern product development. It connects every stage of the life cycle, requirements, design, simulation, manufacturing, and service into one continuous flow of data, right? Organizations gain end-to-end visibility, eliminating the data islands between engineering, manufacturing, and operations. This transforms organizations from being reactive, right? Everyone yelling at each other, running around, to proactive, enabling predictive insights, right? Improving product quality, ultimately creating stronger customer outcomes. Ultimately, the digital thread allows leadership to make better strategic decisions because they can see the full impact of design changes across the business. Creo and Windchill streamline product development by connecting CAD design directly with PLM processes. Engineers spend less time re-entering data and more time innovating and more time happy. Early error detection and version control reduces costly rework, right? I guess that's a different topic about, hey, spell check, right? Spell check is a very cheap and easy way to catch your error and everyone's happy. Hey, manufacturing image something check, that's really late, that costs a lot. No, pull it up to early, reduce rework, and which will ultimately save time and accelerate your product to market. Teams across geographies, right? Teams across geographies can access the same product data and the same version of the product data at the same time. Real-time updates eliminate those silos and miscommunication errors so that everyone is working from the latest design and requirements. This improves decision-making speed, reduces project delays. It's amazing. Windchill ensures secure access control. We talked about that, access control, and maintains compliance by tracking every change with signatures if you wanted to. Protects your valuable intellectual property, all right, while providing full traceability from requirements through design, test, and release. This is super essential for regulated industries where we work a lot in regulated industries where audit trails are absolutely required, and Windchill makes bulletproof audit trails.
Which saves a lot of time come audit time. Ed, thanks for all that. We're headed towards the end of our presentation component, so we're just going to wrap up. I got a couple quick things, and then we'll get to the question and answer. So, at a high level, here's some of the things that we covered in today's webinar. Some key approaches to address engineering team complexity. We talked about how to manage Creo data in Windchill and how the integration with the browser works. Some of the best ways to improve design and reuse along with the security and access controls with the role-based user stuff that we talked about, and then how to connect your PLM data with other parts of the organization like ERP and MES. If this is your first time coming to an SBK webinar, we're a woman-owned 22-year-old engineering and IT consulting firm based out of Scotts Valley, California, where Ed is actually at our headquarters today. We deal with a lot of different partners, and PTC being one. And obviously, we're recommending Windchill and Creo because we've worked with their platform, and we only recommend kind of best in class tools along with our experience in the compliance realm. And that's kind of why we're promoting this platform to help reduce some of the inefficiencies that happen from a design perspective. Um, in terms of the things that we offer, it really comes back to our SPK ACEs, which really are four key values that we try to have in every engagement that we have for customers. We're ultimately trying to help them get their product to market more quickly, obviously with cost in mind and trying to be cost efficient with the money that they have and have the best ROI. And Ed mentioned that we deal a lot in regulated industries, so we are obviously mindful of compliance and the auditability of future conversations with auditors. So trying to make sure that you have everything in place to be able to support those decisions later on down the road. And ultimately trying to help you make a high quality product. We don't want to help our customers get something to market that they're going to have to support and service and create a bunch of extra overhead over the years. So those are the four things that we really try to focus on in every engagement. I mentioned some of the partners that we have through the years. We've always tried to align with some of the best in not just best practices, but best in class tools to support our client needs. And because of that, we have a pretty robust network of partners, and we've been really committed to leveraging those top tier technology and service solutions. And that's why we've invested really deep in our experience and expertise into things like PTC. So this is some of our partners. I'll hop to our last slide, and this includes Ed and my LinkedIn QR code. So if you'd like to connect with us, feel free to do that. And now is probably a good time to let you folks go ahead and put in the question and answer box. If anybody has any questions, feel free to pop them in, or if you want to put them in the chat, we have folks monitoring both locations, so feel free to do that. All right, Ed, we got one here. What are the advantages or disadvantages of having all our tools in PTC Windchill systems versus having integrations for other tools?
Yeah. Where do I start with that? A lot of this comes back to cost and preference, right? So a big advantage, or let's talk about disadvantage, or let's talk about having all of them separate and integrated. Having the SolidWorks PDM tool, the SolidWorks PDM tool is the best integrated into SolidWorks. It's written by the same company, right? They're just built in, and there are advantages to the engineers doing that. The disadvantage, right, is that, hey, when I want to take that data and I want to ship it over to Windchill, that integration has a cost to it, whether that is, you know, at least it's a cost of integration time and configuration and maybe buying a separate piece of software. At worst, it's the cost of manually shipping the files from the separate system into PTC Windchill. So we don't recommend that. On the flip side, you know, if PTC Windchill, in this case using Work Group Manager, has an add-on built into SolidWorks, great. Now you've accomplished the goal of having a separate tool that works in SolidWorks and it's integrated. I don't know why you wouldn't do that, right? As opposed to not. So somewhere in here, hey, you want all of your data in one place. You do not want to be searching different places for different things. You do not want to be copying and pasting things from different places. You definitely want to get it in one place. There's a cost advantage to putting them all in a single tool that is flexible enough to integrate with all the other tools.
Got it. We got another one here. We use Windchill. While we use Windchill, our company has another larger division that uses Dassault for PLM. They want us to use that, but we like Windchill. What are business cases? What business case can we use to keep Windchill? Well, that's a tough one.
So one of the things that we talk about at SPK, we actually draw a distinction between PLM and PDM, right? PLM, our product lifecycle management system for approvals, and in your example, you're saying they're using Dassault for the PLM, which is things like approvals. It has a lot of approvals. It has a lot of signatures and things like that. When I talk about PDM, I'm talking about the system that enables the engineers to be creative efficiently and maintain quality and do these. go crazy, right? Hey, I want to make a PDM so that engineers can save every revision and everything and work really quickly. Whether that is, we talk about, CAD. A lot of talk time we're talking about CAD and PDM, but in a way, if you think if you're a software team, right, we're using Git as a PDM. But on the flip side, talking about Git, I would never use Git for approvals, right? I want to use a separate PLM for that. So, hey, the answer to your question is in order to keep your engineers working fast and creatively and efficiently, sometimes they need a PDM that is more in tune and flexible for their needs. Whereas the PLM, if you really consider PLM, a major goal of that is synchronizing systems and keeping approvals in place, having them separated where I can work in I'll call it my sandbox, my walled garden of PDM or PTC Windchill, right? And then I'm going to deliver that file through an integration. We just talked about integration, deliver that file as an integration into the PLM system for approvals. Now I've kept my PLM system very clean for the approvers to review things and not see all of my lab or design notes. Which, by the way, that PLM system, it's very, if you want to draw an analogy, companies already expect to keep their PLM system separate from their ERP, right? We had talked about that. They
Right.
expect that we're going to take our PLM and ship the data off via an integration into ERP. Maybe you could word it that way, right? Hey, we already ship PLM to ERP. Why don't I ship from my PDM, which is a separate acronym, into the PLM? You can bring that in as a justification for your business case.
Yeah. I like the breakdown there, and especially the what is the true definition or need for each of those systems too. I think that helps define that. We got another one. The ECN approvals. Can Windchill add those approval history in the drawing?
Yes, yes, it can, right? To be specific, if you're using Creo, it can. So a lot of times we have that. I don't know what your company does specifically, right? But we have a history box in the upper right, in the upper left, somewhere in there. It gets automatically populated with a note and a date and a revision letter and a name. So those things in our sophisticated customers, they do not do, and it's not just the history box, it's also the notes, right? If you do text notes in there and a title block, all of that stuff we pull out of the drawing and we put it into the metadata. We're talking about metadata inside of Windchill. So a couple things happen. One, people without a Creo, without opening the drawing in Creo and without knowing how to do drawings in Creo, can make changes to those text fields. And two, I think this is more important. Hey, they become searchable, right? If you have in your the part number or let's talk about in that title block a description. Hey, this is a plastic shell, right? Plastic shell blue. Then that becomes searchable inside of the Windchill system, which will pull up all of the drawings. Again, encouraging reuse to save money inside of your company.
Yeah. We have another one here. If you don't have info, I think I have a little bit of info, but does Windchill's roadmap include AI assisted design or automated bomb generation?
Yes. Yes, but can I hand this back to you, Michael? Because I actually don't know exactly what I'm allowed to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw something the other day uh, where PTC was talking about their AI initiatives with each of their products. So yeah, short answer, they do have a bunch of AI items in the work stream right now for a version to be numbered. I don't know which version, which release they're going to put some of that work in, but there is some AI assisted components in there. Um, and I believe that they definitely have uh, design components, and I think they have some BOM related AI components in there too. But there was a list of probably, I don't know, 6 or 8 little projects related to AI specifically for Windchill. They're doing some AI components for almost everything they're doing. Like for Codebeamer, they're doing things like AI assisted requirements creation. So it'll help you create requirements based upon the information that's in the system already. So they do have a bunch of projects related to AI, but I don't know all the specifics like when they're going to have those released, but I suspect it'll probably be 2026 before they do. I had to guess.
Bonus points. Join us for our 200-hour webinar on AI and medical device FDA regulatory compliance.
We'll just do one called Spreadsheet Island, and that'll be just as beneficial. Okay, I don't see any other questions. So I think Ed, I think we're gonna call it a webinar here. Thanks everybody for joining. I really appreciate your time and attention. Ed, thank you for sharing all of your insights here today. I really appreciate your time, my friend.
Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful chatting, and look forward to hearing from you and others in the near future or distant future, both.
All right. For those of you who are interested in the recording, we will have the recording sent out guaranteed in the next 10 business days, probably sooner than that. And be sure to connect with us on LinkedIn or subscribe via your email on our website for more notices and alerts about upcoming webinars just like this one with my friend Ed. Until next time, folks, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.